The most popular girl in school got pregnant by the scholarship kid. But she pinned it on me, said it was my baby. She went to a clinic for an abortion. It turned out to be an ectopic pregnancy that led to a massive hemorrhage. They had to remove her uterus. Her father, blind with rage, came to the school looking for me. He dragged me to the rooftop and threw me off. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my junior year. The year the campus queen, Sophia Miller, fell for the charity case, Leo Evans. Cole, Leo said he'll officially ask me out if I can break into the top 50 class rank. Can you help me study? Sophia Miller, the living, breathing embodiment of high school royalty, tilted her head up at me, her smile bright enough to be a hazard. For a second, I was lost. The gut-wrenching feeling of falling, the sheer terror of it, was still a ghost haunting my bones. I gasped for air, my lungs burning. Sophia just assumed I was jealous at the mention of Leo's name. A flicker of satisfaction crossed her face before she hid it with a delicate hand over her mouth. All right, I almost forgot, she giggled. Your grades are kind of whatever right now. You're actually ranked lower than I am, so I guess you can't really help me. How about you just hire a tutor for me instead? A cold sweat broke out across my back. It took a long moment for reality to set in. I was reborn. I was back on the very day Sophia had first declared her crush on Leo. My hands trembled slightly as I fought to cage the rage building in my chest. I collected myself and let out a short, sharp laugh. Leo's barely in the top 100 himself. Who is he to demand you make the top 50? Sophia froze, clearly not expecting that tone from me. After all, I had been her loyal doormat for nearly our entire high school career. I was always at her beck and call, ready to do anything she asked. A slow, knowing smile spread across her lips. She took a step closer, her voice a conspiratorial whisper next to my ear. Oh, is someone getting a little jealous? The breeze blew a strand of her hair against my cheek, making it itch. Her faint, sweet perfume filled my senses. If this had been before, my face would have flushed, my heart would have hammered against my ribs. I would have tripped over myself to agree to any demand she made. But now, her calculated, flirty gesture, it just made me feel sick. I took a step back, my gaze cold. Cut the act. I'm not playing your games anymore. From now on, don't bother me unless it's a real emergency. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Cole, what the hell is that supposed to mean? I looked her dead in the eye. It means I want you to stay away from me. Her perfect face darkened instantly. Just because I told everyone I like Leo, you're going to act like this. I just scoffed, didn't bother answering, and turned to walk away. Sophia stomped her foot behind me, her voice a mix of wounded pride and fury. Cole, don't you dare regret this. Trust me, I called back without turning. I won't. Regret? I laughed silently, bitterly. In my last life, her words got me framed for a crime I didn't commit and cost me my life. This time, there was no way in hell I was making the same mistake. 2. On the way home from school, I was passing the alley behind the 7-Eleven when I heard Sophia scream my name. I turned my head. Sophia and Leo were backed into a corner by a group of local townies. Cigarettes dangled from their lips, their eyes promising trouble. When they heard Sophia call out to me, they shot me a look that clearly said, mind your own business. I recognized the guy in the lead, a punk with bleach blonde hair named Ricky. He'd tried to hit on Sophia for a while. Sophia liked to live on the edge, and she was gorgeous. She was a regular at dive bars, pool halls, and karaoke nights. It wasn't surprising that she'd caught the attention of guys like this. Ricky had harassed her before, and she'd slapped him for it. Right now, even though her eyes were filled with panic, she was still trying to shield Leo, who was cowering behind her. In my past life, when Ricky and his crew cornered them, my first instinct was to be the hero. I rushed in to save them. I got beaten to a pulp for my trouble. They kicked and punched me for what felt like an eternity. I was left lying in a pool of my own blood. Sophia had used the chaos to grab Leo and run, not even glancing back to see if I was dead or alive. I spent a week in the hospital recovering. Meanwhile, she and Leo became inseparable, their romance blossoming. When I finally got back to school and confronted her, she just scoffed and said I was tough and healed fast. So what was the big deal? So this time, I took one look and felt absolutely no desire to help. I walked into the corner store, bought a bag of sunflower seeds, and found a good vantage point. I started cracking shells, enjoying the show. Sophia's glare was pure venom. I didn't care. I wasn't stupid enough to charge in there for her again. Soon enough, the sounds of shouting turned into yelps of pain and then pathetic begging. The scene was heating up, and honestly, so was my interest. I was only halfway through my bag of seeds when someone must have called the cops. The wail of a siren cut through the air. Ricky and his friends scattered like cockroaches. Sophia was still huddled in the corner, clutching Leo tightly. Their clothes were torn and disheveled. They looked pitiful. When the officers tried to take them to the station to get their statements, Sophia pointed a shaking finger at me. He was with them. And just like that, I was getting a ride, too. 3. Her accusation fell apart under the slightest scrutiny. The cops who stayed behind had already canvassed the few onlookers. The story was clear. I was just another high school kid, too scared to get involved with a bunch of thugs. They were surprisingly understanding. Sophia's eyes burned with a rage she couldn't, or wouldn't, direct at Ricky. Instead, it all landed on me, the bystander. Without warning, she lunged, aiming to slap me. I threw my arm up just in time to block it. The force of the blow sent a stinging pain up my forearm. The loud smack echoed in the quiet station, making everyone freeze. "Cole, why did you just stand there and watch?" she shrieked, grabbing my shirt while screaming at the officer. "He just let it happen. That's a crime. You should arrest him." A flash of real anger went through me. I shoved her away, and she stumbled back, landing hard on the floor. "You're the ones who go looking for trouble every night. Why the hell should I get my ass kicked for you? Sophia, your family has some pull in this town. If you told your dad what happened, you think he'd be scared of some burnout like Ricky?" At my words, Sophia's eyes darted away. I wasn't surprised. If she told her dad, he wouldn't just find out about her nightly adventures. He'd also find out about Leo. The Millers had money. Sophia was the popular, pretty daughter with a bright future. There was no way they'd approve of her throwing it all away on a scholarship kid from the wrong side of the tracks. She scrambled to her feet, her face a thundercloud, and tried to slap me again. This time I caught her wrist, and with my free hand, I slapped her hard across the face. She loves dishing it out, doesn't she? Let's see how she likes a taste of her own medicine. She started it. I wasn't going to just stand here and take it, not even in front of cop. She went ballistic, trying to claw at me, but an officer quickly stepped in and restrained her. "Cole, you pathetic simp. How dare you hit me? I guess I'm just tired of you thinking you can walk all over me." I smiled. "Sorry about that." My hand slipped. Sophia looked like she was about to explode. The look in her eyes said she wanted to rip my throat out. In the end, the cops just gave us both a stern lecture, telling us to grow up, and sent us on our way after we'd cooled down. I was the first one out of the station. Sophia quickly caught up to me. "Cole, how could you do that to me? If you apologize right now, I might consider forgiving you." That was her signature move, always acting so high and mighty, as if giving me a chance to apologize was a gift from on high. It never mattered if I was actually wrong. I used to pathetically grovel for her forgiveness every single time. Not anymore. I stopped and turned to face her. The red handprint was still visible on her cheek. Her eyes were a mix of anger and betrayal. "Apologize?" I let out a cold laugh. "Sophia, have you not been paying attention? Who do you think you are? The world doesn't revolve around you." She stood frozen, her face turning pale, then red with fury. She hissed, "You used to do anything for me, Cole. Don't act so high and mighty now." I looked at her, feeling absolutely nothing. "Sophia, you're way too full of yourself. I used to be blind, but now I can see clearly. And you're nothing to me." The color drained from her face. Her fingers clenched the hem of her shirt, knuckles white. "Cole Anderson, you just wait." She shot me one last hateful glare, then grabbed Leo and ran off. Watching her go, I didn't feel a single ounce of guilt. This time, she wasn't going to be pulling my strings. For the next few weeks, I completely ignored her. My entire focus was on schoolwork. She used to warn me never to score higher than her on tests. So, I'd intentionally get answers wrong to keep my scores down. Over time, she actually started to believe she was smarter than me. But now, she was just another person in the hallway. My sudden change didn't go unnoticed. Everyone just figured I was heartbroken because she was with Leo. They thought I was in a deep depression. My indifference seemed to genuinely bother Sophia. It was like she was having a crisis of faith in her own allure. After years of being her doormat, how dare I just stop? A good simp doesn't just quit halfway through, right? As a result, she started finding more and more excuses to pop up in front of me, trying to get a reaction. We're going to karaoke tonight. You coming? In the past, an invitation like that just meant I was expected to pay for everyone. And I always did, happily. I just shook my head no and went back to my book without another word. As I sat down, I could hear her whispering with her friends. God, Cole is so pathetic. Ever since he got with Leo, he doesn't go out anymore. Just sits there pretending to study. Honestly, I think Cole's a good guy. His family's loaded, he's cute. He's just not the best student. Sophia scoffed. He could be perfect, and he still wouldn't be as good as my Leo. These days, she and Leo were practically attached at the hip. They'd even make out in the middle of class, not caring who saw. To high schoolers, that kind of forbidden romance was thrilling. Their brazenness made them the hottest topic of gossip in the school. And when people talked about them, they always brought me up. They'd say how I'd chased Sophia for years, a totally devoted simp, only to lose her to the new guy. It just proved the old saying, nice guys, or in my case, doormats, finish last. I heard all the time. I just didn't care. Our math teacher asked me to join the math Olympiad team. This time, I said yes. The math teacher was also our homeroom advisor. He wasn't fooled by my mediocre grades. He knew that on every math test, I'd leave the last two major problems blank. Everything else was always perfect. He called me in for talks about it more times than I could count. But I never changed my ways. I just promised him I'd get my all on the SATs. He eventually gave up and let me be. A while later, during gym class, my advisor called me to his office. He told me I'd won first place in the math Olympiad. Math had always been my thing. Now that I was actually trying, winning first place wasn't a huge shock, but it still felt good. He wanted to give me a heads up before he announced it to the whole class later. He also handed me an envelope. Inside was $800 in cash, the prize for first place. My advisor talked to me for a while, encouraging me to focus on college applications and stop wasting my time on high school drama. Clearly, he'd been paying closer attention to my situation than I thought. When I got out of his office, gym class was already over. The moment I walked back in the classroom, the vibe was weird. Everyone was staring at me, especially Sophia and Leo. There was something strange in their eyes. I ignored them and walked toward my desk. Sophia stepped in front of me, blocking my path. Did you take it? I looked at her, confused. Take what? Sophia's expression was severe. The class funds. They were in Leo's desk, and now they're gone. A flare of anger shot through me. He was in charge of the money. It goes missing, and you come to me? Why? The class funds were originally managed by the class president, but he'd lost them once before. No one trusted him after that. Leo, the quiet scholarship kid, seemed honest and harmless, and he was surprisingly popular. So everyone agreed to let him handle it. Sophia snorted. Cole, drop the act. You were the only one not in gym class. If you didn't take it, who did? Leo stepped forward and gently pulled on Sophia's arm. Sophia, maybe it's just a misunderstanding. Cole's family has money. I doubt he'd care about a couple $100 from the class fund. Sophia's tone dripped with sarcasm. Oh, the Andersons have money, sure. Cole wouldn't miss the cash. But that's not the point, is it? We all know what his motive was. Her insinuation hung in the air, and you could see the light bulbs going off over everyone's heads. Wow, Cole's really lost it. He's messing with class funds just to get back at him. He's hated Leo for a while now, but I can't believe he'd do something like this. So all that time he spent studying was just an act. Seriously, what kind of person does that just to make someone else look bad? What a psycho. Listening to them, my jaw tightened. Sophia pressed on, relentless. Cole, just give the money back. We're all classmates here. We can forgive you this one time. Otherwise, we'll have to call the police. I looked at them, a scornful smile on my face. Fine by me. Call them. At the mention of the police, Leo's face went pale. It's fine, Sophia. Maybe it wasn't Cole. Maybe I just misplaced it. We're all friends here. I don't want to make a big scene. He was saying it wasn't me, but his words only made me look guilty, and it made him look magnanimous. I didn't hesitate. I pulled out my phone and started to dial 911. Seeing that, Leo totally panicked. He lunged forward to grab my phone. I was quicker, sidestepping him easily. He lost his balance and stumbled forward, his head cracking against the corner of the desk. Thwack! A red welt immediately started to form on his forehead. Sophia gasped and rushed to his side. Leo clutched his head, his voice filled with frantic urgency. Sophia, don't blame Cole. It was my fault. I wasn't watching where I was going. I'm fine, just a little dizzy. It's all my fault. Sophia's gaze turned to ice. She stared daggers at me. Cole, apologize. I looked at her like she was insane. Are you blind, Sophia? Leo tried to snatch my phone, lost his footing, and hit his head on a desk. Why the hell would I apologize for that? Being publicly contradicted like that, combined with the memory of me hitting her at the station, made something in her snap. The last of her composure vanished. She swung at me again. I knew her temper all too well. I dodged the second she moved, but her hand connected with the front pocket of my jacket. The envelope with the cash fell to the floor. A guy I wasn't on the best terms with snatched it up before I could. He pulled out the wad of cash for everyone to see. Here it is, the class money. Cole did steal it. Leo's jaw dropped. Sophia's face was a mask of fury. She ripped the envelope from the other student's hand and pointed a finger at me. What's your excuse now? Are you still going to deny you stole the class funds? The classroom erupted. It really was him. I can't believe Cole is that kind of person. But his family is rich. Is he really that obsessed with Sophia that he'd stoop to this? He was just talking a big game about calling the cops. If they actually came, that amount of money is enough to get him charged, isn't it? Through it all, I remained calm. Sophia, I said, my voice even, take a closer look. Is that really the class money? Sophia laughed coldly. Cole, who carries this much cash around for no reason? Who do you think is stupid here? Me or you? Do you really think denying it now is going to help? I raised my voice so everyone could hear. You're the stupid one. Why don't you read what's written on the envelope? Sophia was about to snap back when someone in the back of the room read it out loud. First place prize, Math Olympiad. Cole Anderson. Sophia blinked, then burst out laughing. Cole, huh? You. Do you really think you're worthy? You're the loser who scores lower than me on every single test. You think you could win the Math Olympiad? Cole, you didn't just steal the money. You came up with this pathetic lie to cover your tracks. I'm so disappointed in you. After she said that, the looks I was getting from the other students turned even more contemptuous. Just then, the class president, who had run off during the commotion, returned with our homeroom teacher. Our teacher rushed in, took one look at the scene, and immediately cleared my name. He announced to the entire class that I had, in fact, won first place in the Math Olympiad. The entire class stood there, stunned into silence. That was impossible. After the shock wore off, Sophia was still indignant. Fine, if Cole didn't steal the class funds, then who did? Who would be so cruel as to frame Leo? Our teacher looked at Leo, his disappointment unconcealed. Leo, what happened? Are you going to tell us? Or should we wait for the police to investigate? Leo's face went from pale to flushed and back again. He couldn't handle the pressure. He finally broke. It turned out he had already spent the money. All those nights Sophia had been going out for karaoke and fun, Leo had been secretly paying for everything. But he had no money of his own, so he'd been dipping into the class funds. He looked at Sophia, fat tears rolling down his cheeks. Sophia, you were used to Cole paying for everything. I didn't want to look bad compared to him. I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. Hearing this, Sophia's face went ashen. The truth was out. The same students who had been accusing me moments before now stood with their mouths hanging open, speechless. All eyes were now on Leo and Sophia, and their expressions were far from kind. A few students who already disliked them started whispering. So they've been going out on dates, showing off, using our money, and they had the nerve to blame Cole. A classic case of the thief, crying thief. Totally. I even saw them checking into a motel once. Wonder if they used our money for that too. So gross. Sophia, I really know I was wrong. I won't do it again. This was exactly the kind of act Sophia fell for. She took a deep breath, composing herself. Then she took Leo's hand and comforted him. Leo, you never have to compare yourself to him. In my eyes, you'll always be the best. No one can compare to you. She then turned to the class and announced, I'll pay back the class funds in the next couple of days. So don't give Leo a hard time. He just made a mistake. Hearing that, Leo's gloomy face instantly brightened. Since Sophia had offered to cover it, the other students didn't press the issue. It seemed like the whole affair was over. But no one had considered me. Sophia apologized to me. My cold voice cut through the air between them. Sophia looked up at me, her brow furrowed in a clear show of reluctance. But before she could speak, Leo stepped in front of her and slapped himself across the face. It was a hard slap. You could see the side of his face turn red almost instantly. I'm sorry, Cole. It was my fault. I'm the one who caused this whole misunderstanding. It's all on me. That slap sent a pang of pity through Sophia's heart. Her eyes, filled with hatred, locked onto me. Are you satisfied now? I smiled. Oh yeah, completely. You've changed, Cole. You never used to be like this. Really, I feel like this is the real me. She flinched, and a certain light in her eyes seemed to dim. I didn't look at her again and walked back to my seat. This whole incident actually improved my social standing. Then, when the results of our next practice exam came out, I was ranked #1 in the entire school. The way my classmates looked at me changed. The old contempt was gone, replaced by something like admiration. Some of the prettier girls would steal glances at me through their lashes. For the first time ever, I even found a few confession notes in my locker. But with college applications just around the corner, I was completely focused on studying. Still, I made sure to thank them politely. During evening study hall, a few of the bolder girls would switch seats to sit next to me, asking for help with difficult problems, their faces flushed. I never refused. I'd patiently explain each concept until they understood. I suddenly realized this is what high school was supposed to be like. We mess around, we get crushes, we're drawn to beautiful things. There's nothing wrong with that. But academics should always be the priority. I'd spent so much time with my attention locked on Sophia that I'd completely lost myself. After study hall ended, I was packing up my things when Sophia walked up to my desk, her face grim. She was clearly unhappy. You really enjoy talking to those girls, don't you? You never used to be like this. I didn't even bother to look up. She continued, you're not allowed to talk to other girls anymore. They're only getting close to you for a reason. Don't be an idiot and let them play you. I finished packing, zipped up my bag, and started to leave, not even giving her a second glance. She frowned and grabbed my arm. Her voice was sharp with an anger I couldn't place. Cole, I'm talking to you. Are you even listening? I paused. Whether I talk to someone or not, what does that have to do with you? She tugged at my sleeve, her voice suddenly soft and weak, a hint of a plea in it. Cole, how can you say that? We weren't like this before. I gently pulled my arm away. My tone was calm but firm. Before was before. Now is now. Sophia, we're not what we used to be. You have no right to tell me what to do. Her eyes immediately welled up with tears, her lower lip trembling. She seemed to want to say something, but couldn't find the words. She just stood there, staring at me with a complex expression, as if seeing me for the first time. I turned my back to her. If that's all, I'm leaving. Her voice suddenly rose, sharp with urgency and frustration. Cole, have we really reached a point where there's nothing left between us? I scoffed. What do you think? We're not even friends. And one more thing, stop showing up in front of me all the time. With that, I walked away. She stomped her foot in frustration, but didn't follow me. For some reason, Sophia started giving Leo the cold shoulder after that. The next day, when I got to class, I noticed Leo looking at me in a strange, calculating way. After the bell rang for break, he filled a mug with hot water from the cooler and walked over to my desk. Cole, I know I was out of line the other day. I came to apologize. He held the mug out to me. I narrowed my eyes, not moving a muscle. He immediately let go of the mug. It crashed against the corner of my desk. Hot water splashed everywhere. The mug bounced onto the floor and shattered. A split second later, Leo cried out in pain. Heads all over the classroom snapped in our direction. The room went silent, the atmosphere thick with tension. Leo clutched his hand, which was slightly red. He stared at the broken ceramic on the floor in disbelief. His voice was laced with frustration. I was just trying to apologize to you for what happened. He looked at the shattered mug, his face a mask of wounded innocence. I know you don't like me. Let's just say I lost my grip. I shouldn't have come over here. It's all my fault. The more he explained, the more accusatory the stares from our classmates became. I knew exactly what they were thinking. The moment he walked over with that mug, I knew what he was planning. The same pathetic, underhanded tricks. He hadn't learned a thing. I looked at him with contempt. Suddenly, I grabbed his shirt and started dragging him toward the door. Can't you come up with something new? I never even touched the damn mug. You're such a good actor. You want to be a star? Let's go watch the security footage with the principal. Leo froze, the color draining from his face. He resisted, but I just kept pulling him. We had just reached the doorway when Sophia appeared, blocking our path. Just let it go. Leo didn't say you did it on purpose. That's enough. I glowered, looking down into her pretty, impatient eyes. There's a limit to this rivalry of yours, she said, annoyed. Both of you, just stop it. I was so stunned I actually laughed. I gave her a shove. Sophia, who the hell do you think you are? You think I'm fighting over you? Take a good look in the mirror. You think you're worth it? You're a pathetic couple. Stop trying to drag me into your drama every other day. Leo took the opportunity to struggle violently, trying to break free. I spun around and slapped him hard across the face. The crack echoed through the silent classroom. I grabbed his collar and snarled in his face. Next time you pull a stunt like this, I promise you, it won't end this easily. The classroom was dead silent. Everyone was shocked by the sudden violence. But Leo's desperate refusal to go see the security footage was a dead giveaway. Everyone had seen how scared he was. This time, the looks they gave him held no sympathy, only disgust. Leo held a hand to his stinging cheek, his eyes wide with shock and fear. He clearly hadn't expected me to get physical. Sophia was stunned too. She stood frozen, her face pale, her lips trembling. She opened her mouth to say something, but my furious glare made her swallow her words. I shot them both one last cold look, released Leo's shirt, and walked back to my seat. The classroom remained unnervingly quiet. Leo, wiping tears from his eyes, ran out of the room. Sophia glared at me one last time before hurrying after him. They ended up on the athletic field behind the school. From the classroom window, you could see Sophia pull him into a hug and kiss him. A chorus of whoops and catcalls erupted from our classmates. By senior year, dating was common, but not many were as shameless about it as they were. Sophia and Leo probably thought the cheers were signs of envy. In reality, the comments flying around the room were dripping with disdain. Sophia must be blind. How did she end up with a spineless loser like Leo? I used to think she was just messing around with him. I mean, Cole is handsome, his family's rich, and he's smart. There's no way she'd actually choose Leo over him. Seriously, all Leo does is bury his nose in a book, and even with all that effort, he's still stuck in the top 100. Top 100. If he keeps this up with Sophia, he'll be lucky to get into any college at all. Actually, they've been in a cold war for a while. Sophia's been trying to win him back for days. Apparently, they were fighting over Cole. She had to basically beg him and buy him a bunch of stuff. Leo is so gross. Not only did Sophia have to pay back the class funds for him, but she's been covering his living expenses too. And he still treats her like that. Unbelievable. You know, there's one thing Leo has that Cole doesn't. That got everyone's attention. What's that? He's a much better actor. Always playing the victim, acting all innocent. He's such a little bitch. The classroom erupted in laughter. Sometime later, Sophia started looking really sick. She was pale and would gag randomly in class. Most people thought she had a stomach bug. They'd tell her to go see a doctor, but I knew exactly what was happening. In my past life, this was when she found out. Sophia was pregnant. After a few more days of this, she called in sick and went to the clinic. When she came back to school, she looked awful, her face ghostly white. She quietly pulled Leo out of the classroom. Pretending I was just stretching my legs, I followed them. They went to a small, wooded area behind the track. I hid behind a large oak tree. Leo, what are we going to do? I'm pregnant with your baby. If my dad finds out, he'll kill me. Sophia's voice trembled with fear and desperation. Her hands were clenched around the sleeves of Leo's jacket, as if he were her only lifeline. Leo's voice shook. What? What did you say? Pregnant. But didn't you take the pill last time? Tears instantly streamed down Sophia's face. I'm really pregnant. The doctor confirmed it. What are we going to do? Leo's face grew even paler, his eyes darting around nervously. Okay, don't panic. We have to figure something out. Seeing that Leo wouldn't even look her in the eye, Sophia's fear turned to anger. What do you mean by that? What are you going to figure out? His eyes were shifty, his voice barely a whisper. I'll think of something. Just give me some time. Are you trying to bail on me? Leo looked even more panicked, but now there was an edge of irritation in his voice. Sophia, don't push me. This is just. It's a lot, okay? I need to think. Besides, we're still in high school. There's no way we can handle this. Sophia's body shook, her eyes wide with disbelief. Leo, how can you say that? You're the one who promised you'd always be there for me, that you'd never let me get hurt. And now you say this. I'd heard enough. I turned and walked back to class. Right before the bell rang, Sophia and Leo returned separately. They both looked like they'd seen a ghost. 2 days later, Sophia didn't come to school, but her father did. He stormed into our classroom, bellowing my name. Which one of you is Cole Anderson? Get the hell out here. The moment he burst in, the classroom fell silent. Everyone turned to look at me. Mr. Miller's face was beet red, his eyes bloodshot. He looked like an enraged lion. His eyes scanned the room until they landed on me. Who's Cole Anderson? Get out here now. His voice boomed, making the windows rattle. I stood up slowly, my gaze steady. I'm Cole. He lunged across the room in a few strides and grabbed me by the collar. His eyes were burning with pure rage. You bastard, what did you do to my daughter? She had an ectopic pregnancy, hemorrhaged, and had to have her uterus removed. This is all your fault, you piece of scum. The information was so explosive the entire class gasped. I didn't struggle. I just looked at him calmly and spoke quickly. Mr. Miller, I think you have the wrong person. Whatever happened to Sophia has nothing to do with me. The person you should be talking to is Leo Evans. His face contorted with even more rage, his grip tightening. You're still lying. Sophia told me herself, it was you. You're lower than an animal. He started trying to drag me out of the classroom. The room was buzzing with panicked whispers as students stared at us. I pried at his hands, my voice clear and loud. Mr. Miller, if you don't believe me, ask anyone in this class. Sophia and Leo are the ones who are dating. Everyone here can tell you that. He paused, his grip loosening slightly. I breathed a small sigh of relief. He glanced around at the other students. A few of them hesitated, then nodded. One mumbled, yeah, it's true, Sophia and Leo are together. Leo's face went deathly white. He shot to his feet, his voice cracking. Cole, don't you dare lie. You're the one who forced yourself on Sophia. You're the reason she got pregnant, you bastard. I let out a cold laugh, my eyes boring into him. Still trying to lie your way out of this, Leo? I heard every word you and Sophia said behind the track the other day. Leo looked even more flustered. You making that up? I never. I ignored him. I took out my phone and quickly connected it to the classroom's smartboard projector. An image of the wooded area behind the track appeared on the screen, and Sophia's voice, crystal clear, filled the room. Leo, what are we going to do? I'm pregnant with your baby. If my dad finds out, he'll kill me. What? What did you say? Pregnant. But didn't you take the pill last time? I'm really pregnant. The doctor confirmed it. What are we going to do? The classroom was utterly silent. Every single person was glued to the screen. Leo's face was the color of chalk. He started shaking uncontrollably, looking like he was about to collapse. Mr. Miller's expression shifted from rage to shock, and finally to a terrifying, absolute fury. He let go of my collar, spun around, and seized Leo. His voice was a low, murderous growl. So it was you. You son of a bitch. You ruined my daughter and then tried to blame someone else. Leo flinched violently, his voice a pathetic whimper. Mr. Miller, please, let me explain. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Mr. Miller wasn't listening. He started dragging him toward the door. Leo struggled frantically, crying out in terror. Mr. Miller, calm down. I swear, I didn't mean to. Mr. Miller was inhumanly strong, hauling Leo toward the exit. The other students were frozen in their seats, too terrified to move. Just then, school security and a few teachers who had heard the commotion arrived, blocking the classroom door. It seemed my stalling had bought enough time. In my last life, I had been too scared to even defend myself. I was dragged to the roof before anyone could intervene. Seeing his path blocked, Mr. Miller's face twisted into an even more terrifying mask of rage. He let out a guttural roar, suddenly changing direction. He dragged Leo to the classroom window, hoisted him up with a final surge of adrenaline, and threw him out. Ah! Leo's scream echoed for a moment, followed by a sickening thud. The classroom plunged into a new, horrified silence. No one could process what they had just seen. Mr. Miller stood by the open window, his hands trembling, his eyes vacant and filled with a crazed despair. The security guards and teachers rushed forward and tackled him. He didn't resist. He just stared out the window, muttering to himself, "Sophia, my sweet Sophia." The police arrived quickly and took him away. The classroom was chaos. Everyone was talking at once, some horrified, some pitying, some just silent. I stood in the middle of it all, feeling nothing. This life, I had finally avoided my fate. I had broken free from Sophia and Leo for good. Later, I heard that on top of losing her uterus, the news about her father and Leo drove Sophia completely over the edge. She had a full breakdown and was never the same. Leo's death became a permanent, dark shadow over our school. But none of it had anything to do with me anymore. After graduation, I got a perfect score on my SATs and was accepted into an Ivy League university. I started a completely new life. All the ugliness, the pain, the struggle, and the hate, it all began to fade with time. Maybe that's what youth is. We grow through our mistakes, we mature through our pain. And eventually, washed clean by time, we find our own way forward. And me? I had finally walked out of the darkness and into a future that was all my own.